Hi, I'm Alan Sugano. I'm the president of ADS Consulting Group, and thanks a lot for listening to the success story on how we performed an IT makeover for a financial institution. So this client, actually, I do quite a bit of speaking, and this particular client heard me present a Virtualization Audit and Security class in Boston, and then based on the class content, they asked for our help with their network. So the first part, and one of the things that we suggest for any new client, is to perform what we call a network physical. And a network physical is kind of like a doc going to the doctor and getting a physical, except it's for your network and not for you. So basically what we did is we reviewed their existing systems, and then we came up with a list of recommendations with estimated costs for each item, and then we presented this to the client, and they decided to actually go ahead and implement all of the suggestions that we had on the network physical. There were approximately 18 major items that we suggested that they implement. So some of those were we added Veeam backups to all their branch servers because their branch servers weren't getting backed up. We obviously feel that backup is very, very important. And then we replicated those backups to their main facility, and then those were then backed up to tape. One of the other things that we feel very strongly about is it's not good enough to have just a backup to disk or any type of online backup, especially with CryptoLocker, because you can have, if the backup is online and crypto gets a hold of it, can actually destroy the backup, and then now you don't have a backup. So we feel that at some point you need to get your backups to some type of offline media like tape. One of their other challenges they faced is they had T1s connecting all of their branch offices to their main office, and it just wasn't fast enough for what they were doing. So we decided to build out a secondary layer 2 wide area network, increase their wide area network speeds by a factor of 33. We went from 1.5 meg to 50 meg at all locations. And one of the things that this allowed the bank to do is really quickly replicate check images from their branch offices to their main office. And the transmit times dropped from approximately 1 hour down to about 5 minutes. It was kind of scary funny. The first time one of the tellers attempted to transmit the check images after we built out the faster wide area network, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I can see the bar moving." And I guess that had never happened before. Literally, she would go and start the transmit of the check images, kick everybody off the network because it would saturate their bandwidth, and get a cup of coffee. But so this is the other thing that we try to do, is try to make it so that the network or the infrastructure does not get in the way of people doing their jobs. One of the analogies that I used with them is, you're trying to go from the East Coast to the West Coast on a skateboard. Let's try a car, or heaven forbid, an airplane, so that we can just do it more effectively. So it was really an amazing turnaround. We went from trying to keep the lights on to how can we be more proactive, how can we leverage the network, how can we do a better job, how can we provide better service to our clients. So it was a 180-degree turnaround. I have to say it's one of our most successful implementations that we've ever done. So in addition to that, we also upgraded all their ESXi hosts to the latest version. We're a strong believer in virtualization. We've been doing it now for over 10 years. We do VMware and Hyper-V, although probably concentrate more on VMware. And we also blocked outbound traffic and restricted it to only necessary ports that they were using. We added memory to their ESXi cluster, so all the VMs could fail over to a single host without going into memory overcommit. So if they had a failover event, nobody would notice. That's one of the things that we try to do when we design an ESXi cluster, is we typically design for what's called N-1. So if they lose one host, nobody should notice. So one of the things we'll do when we implement any new cluster is fail everything over to, if it's a 2-node cluster, we'll fail it over to a single node and then listen for the silence. In other words, nobody knows that there was a failover event. And if nobody notices, then we've done our job perfectly well. We also upgraded the cluster to the latest version of ESXi and vSphere. We created dedicated management networks for vMotion, iSCSI, and ESX management. And we also added Veeam backups that would replace their existing backup exec backups. Another issue that was the bank was challenged with was their Exchange server was crashing several times a week. There was almost a pool going for an over-under on whether or not the Exchange server would be up on Monday. So the main reason why we took a look at their Exchange server, the main reason why it was crashing is it just nearly didn't have enough memory. I think it had like 8 gig of RAM and it needed more like 64. So we allocated additional memory to their Exchange server, upgraded their Exchange to the latest version, and after all these improvements were made, it just stabilized and stopped crashing. And it was at that point it was like electricity. So in other words, just worked, which is a good thing. So our latest infrastructure project involved upgrading their existing cluster in their main production site data center, as well as their disaster recovery cluster using SimpliVity hardware. If you're not familiar with SimpliVity, it's one of the generation 2 of hyperconverged hardware where storage, compute, backup, networking are all collapsed into a single piece of hardware. So we were able to back up every 15 minutes. In addition to that, in addition to backing up every 15 minutes, the data are replicated to the disaster recovery site every 15 minutes. This is something that we found is impossible to do. SimpliVity is probably the only vendor that we've seen where you can get these type of really low short replication times. It's absolutely amazing. One of the other things that SimpliVity promises is they guarantee a 10 to 1 increase in storage. So in other words, 10 terabytes is equal to 100 terabytes on a regular SAN. And they will guarantee it. So, one of the questions I asked is, okay, Smarty Pants, if I don't get 10 to 1, what are you going to do? And SimpliVity says they will give us the notes until you get to 10 to 1. Now for the bank, with the backups and everything that are on there, they're getting close to, we saw it actually spike as high as 100 to 1. I think they're still averaging right now about 90 to 1, which is still pretty dang good. I mean, we'll take 90 to 1 every day. So the other thing that we did to simplify the disaster recovery is we actually migrated all their servers to a dedicated spanning subnet. And basically what that does is the subnet lives both in the production site and the DR site. And this really simplifies the disaster recovery failover. One of the things that makes this possible is we are able to segment out the spanning subnet across their layer 2 connection, and it uses what's called EPL or Ethernet Private Line. And essentially what that allows you to do, if you're not familiar with the EPL, one of the features is it will actually encapsulate a VLAN tag so that it will the VLAN tag will survive going across the WAN. So it gives you a lot of flexibility in how you architect some of this stuff. And this is one of those things that allows us to do it. So bottom line is that the spanning subnet really made it a lot easier to simplify the DR failover process by like a factor of 5,000. One of the other reasons why we went with SimpliVity is their CIO. He's like, am I crazy, or I want to be able to fail over and just run in our DR site, once a quarter and then fail back, like just whenever the wind blows. And I said, okay, if you want to do that, then SimpliVity is absolutely the way to go. So they did do with that, and we are replicating every 15 minutes. It's amazing technology, and the failover process has really been simplified with the spanning subnet. So also because of the spanning subnet, it also eliminates the need to change the IP address of the servers during a failover event. So how can we help your company? We'd love to hear from you to help you create your own IT success story. You can contact me, Alan Sugano. I'm the president of ADS Consulting Group. My phone number is area code 310-541-8584. I'm at extension 100. And then you can use the Find This Person Now feature to have the call forwarded to my cell phone. Or you can email me, Alan Sugano. My email address is asugano@adscon.com. Thanks a lot for listening, and we look forward to hearing from you.